What's up everyone, it's Sprometheus, and today we are talking about the flat white. It's flat, it's not really white, it's more of a tan or light brown color, but it's growing in popularity around the world. And with that level of popularity, within specialty coffee comes the debates. Lots and lots of debates. If you're not aware, the semantics of specialty coffee run really deep, and we all have our own preconceived notions on how a drink is made or prepared based on how we were either introduced to it or how we were taught to make it by someone we respect. But as I dove into being a home barista, what I found was, while digging through the internet, is just a lot of arguments, a lot of debates, a lot of disagreements on how many drinks are made. But it seemed the most contentious one out there was the flat white. Not only are there multiple ways to make a flat white, but both Australia and New Zealand are planting their flag in the foam and laying claim to the creation of the drink. But I'm not here to talk about that debate specifically, but I want to actually make some coffee. Surprisingly enough, when I asked baristas and consumers alike in both Australia and New Zealand, they gave me roughly the same definition of a flat white. I kind of expected there to be some kind of small, minute difference between the flat white in Australia and the flat white in New Zealand that kind of devolved the whole debate into an episode of Flight of the Conchords.
Our accents are completely different. They're like, "Where's the car?" And we're like, "Where's the car?"
Generally, they all agreed on many of the factors in making the drink. For starters, you use a cup, generally made of porcelain, between 110 and 180 milliliters. The base of a flat white, based on the standard definitions from New Zealand and Australia, is just a double shot of espresso. And of course, this double shot of espresso just kind of falls into whatever your standard dial-in is for whatever beans you're using. There's no specific ratio or recipe involved here. Next up, you're going to add steamed milk, and then finally, a thin layer of foam, latte art being optional. And in the end, the foam itself should be roughly 1/2 to 1 centimeter thick. The American version, on the other hand, isn't even all that different. It just replaces that standard double shot of espresso with a pull of Ristretto. Ristretto as a topic alone is another contentious, debatable, and somewhat notorious form of coffee. But I did a full espresso anatomy on that a little while back, so if you're curious, I'll put a link to that in the description. But what I prefer to do in terms of a double Ristretto is a 1-to-1 ratio pull, which in this case is going to be 17 grams in and 17 grams out in about 20 seconds. And putting together the American flat white is basically exactly the same as the Australian or New Zealand versions.
We're the same, don't you see? We are not the same.
So you're going to start with the Ristretto as the base, you're going to add your steamed milk, and then finally a thin layer of foam. Latte art, once again, being optional. But this American version of the flat white, according to my friends in Australia and New Zealand, is something else entirely, and they call it the magic. In the end, the consensus I've reached by talking to people all over the world about the flat white, specifically those in the country or countries where it allegedly was created, is it's nothing more than a small latte. Now, let that sink in for a minute. If that's a struggle to accept, let me show you a visual aid that may actually help. This just sort of is what it is. Anyway, that's it for me today. Treat yourself to a flat white, a small latte, a magic, a wet cappuccino, or whatever you want to call it. You deserve to drink some coffee. And on that note, I'll see you next week. And a big thank you to my January Patreon supporters, Ads, Jacob P., David W., Christopher, Squeegee, Rowe, Brian, Lisa, Obo, Andre, Sean, Noel, Spookus, Mika, Samantha, Bound Coffee, Claire, Stephen, James K., Josh, Andrew Horrison, Corey C., Curry, Jeff Ross, Joey N., Thomas B., UK Espresso, RD, Tim, Ninja Warrior Coffee, Testing 123, Jason C., Jerry, Matt, Zachary V., Tyler F., Robert Underdunk, Jeffrey R., BJK Cafe, Chris M., Daniel P., Mike B., James S., Brian M., Brandon B., Tyler M., Sebastian, Matthew C., JRC, and Absolute. And of course, a big thank you to the Barista and Barback tiers. If you have any questions on my Patreon, there's a link in the description and in the upper right-hand corner right now. And of course, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that little bell button for notifications of new videos posted every Friday. Follow my Instagram at Sprometheus for content throughout the week, my blog at Sprometheus.com, my coffee at littlegiant.coffee, and as always, stay caffeinated. Ponyboy.